The allure of New York City has been captured in countless movies, songs, and stories. But today, on Weird Rewind, we'll journey beneath the glamour to unearth some chilling tales that it hides. Weird Rewind presents Dark Facts about the Big Apple, New York City. The grim echo of the Triangle Shirtwaist factory fire. 1911, Greenwich Village. Inside the red-bricked Triangle Shirtwaist factory, the hum of sewing machines was punctured by lively chatter. Young women, many barely out of their teens, worked long hours stitching garments that would grace the shop windows of New York City. But on March 25th, the ordinary became unthinkable. A discarded cigarette butt, a flash, and suddenly the 8th floor was engulfed in flames. Panic gripped the factory, but desperation turned to horror when workers discovered all the exit doors were locked, a measure by management to prevent theft. With inadequate fire escapes, many faced a heart-wrenching choice: flames or a fatal jump from the windows. 146 people perished that day. Most victims were young immigrant women seeking dreams of a better life. Their profound loss galvanized the city and the nation, leading to sweeping labor reforms and new fire safety regulations. The echoes of their untimely end still resonate, a sobering reminder of the price paid for the protections many now take for granted. The silent whispers of Washington Square Park, with its sprawling green and jubilant gatherings, hides secrets deep beneath its soil. Before the unmistakable arch and the melodies of street performers, this ground echoed with silent prayers and mournful sobs. During the 18th century, it wasn't a place of joy, but rather a final resting place. It was the burial ground for the city's destitute and for countless victims of the dreaded yellow fever. Some experts believe up to 20,000 souls may remain entombed below the verdant lawns and walking paths. And the park's tales of darkness don't end with burials. The very tree-lined pathways where lovers now stroll once bore witness to grim public executions. While today's visitors bask in sunlight and laughter, the whispers of the past linger, urging us to remember the park's deep and spectral history. The horror of Albert Fish. 1928. As New York City pulsed with the rhythms of jazz and the energy of modern metropolis, a sinister shadow lurked in its corners. Enter Albert Fish, also chillingly known as the Grey Man. On the surface, he appeared as nothing more than an unassuming elderly man, almost grandfatherly. But behind those eyes hid a predatory monster. The city was rocked to its core when Fish's unspeakable crimes came to light. He wasn't just responsible for the disappearance of several children, but he also inflicted unimaginable tortures upon them. His sadistic tendencies reached an appalling climax when he brazenly confessed to the kidnap, murder, and cannibalism of young Grace Budd. As if that wasn't shocking enough, he penned a detailed letter to her horrified parents recounting the grim events with a disturbing casualness. Upon his capture in 1934, the city gasped collectively, trying to make sense of the atrocities committed by this frail-looking man. The ensuing trial was sensational, pulling in masses who wanted a glimpse of this real-life boogeyman. Though executed in 1936, Fish's dark legacy lingers, ensuring his place as one of the most horrifying figures in American crime history. The Wall Street bombing, an attack on America's financial heart. September 16th, 1920, as the bells of the Trinity Church tolled, a wagon loaded with 100 pounds of dynamite and 500 pounds of cast iron sash weights exploded outside the J.P. Morgan building on Wall Street. The blast was devastating. 38 people were killed instantly, and over 400 injured. Glass shards, metal fragments, and ash filled the air, turning the financial capital into a war zone. Bodies lay strewn amidst the rubble, and the wounded screamed out, awaiting aid. The J.P. Morgan building itself, a symbol of American finance, bore the scars with its pockmarked facade. Though the immediate danger was repaired, those marks were intentionally left untouched as a stark reminder. The culprits? Suspected to be Italian anarchists seeking to strike at the very heart of American capitalism. However, despite the efforts of the police, the case went cold. The true perpetrators were never apprehended, making the Wall Street bombing one of the deadliest unsolved incidents in US history. Today, the event is a chilling reminder of the fragility of peace and the lengths to which some will go to voice their dissent against the systems of power. The Shadows of the Dakota. Standing tall amidst Central Park West, the Dakota is not just an architectural marvel, but also a repository of hushed tales and hidden legends. Known to many as the backdrop for the sinister plot of Rosemary's Baby, its true dark chronicle is grounded in our world. A world that was left in shock when the peace-promoting Beatle John Lennon met his tragic end at its very doorstep in 1980. But if the walls of the Dakota could talk, they'd whisper even more chilling stories. Longtime residents have shared tales of mysterious shadows that dance in dimly lit corridors, the distant melancholy strains of piano in the dead of night, and uncanny reflections that vanish in the blink of an eye. Most eerily of all, Lennon himself claimed to have encountered the sorrowful spirit of a crying lady during his time there, raising questions such as, was the Dakota trying to communicate a forewarning of the tragedy to come? The Labyrinth Below. Beneath the rhythmic pulse of New York City lies a silent, intricate web of forgotten tales and hidden corridors. While the subway trains ferry countless souls above these concealed depths, an intricate maze of old wine cellars, subterranean rivers, and long abandoned tunnels weave stories of a time gone by. Notably, Track 61, lurking beneath the grandeur of the walled-off Astoria, whispers secrets of its own. A clandestine passage rumored to have ushered presidents discreetly in and out of the city. Yet, the most haunting tales arise from murmurs of mole people, elusive communities that have found refuge in this eternal night. They share their subterranean world with spectral passengers forever trapped in time, endlessly waiting on desolate platforms for trains destined never to arrive. As we walk the city's streets, one can't help but wonder about the hidden mysteries echoing just below our feet. The bloody reign of Joe the Boss. The Roaring Twenties, a time of jazz, flappers, and mob wars. As prohibition choked the legal flow of alcohol, underground crime syndicates thrived. One name rose above the rest in New York's chaotic underbelly: Giuseppe Joe the Boss Masseria. He was more than just another mob boss. He was an emblem of raw power and ruthless ambition. Under his rule, the mafia's operations expanded dramatically, reaching into gambling, prostitution, and, most profitably, bootlegging. Yet, success bred rivalry. The Castellamarese War, a turf war with the equally formidable Salvatore Maranzano, painted the streets red with blood, becoming a dark chapter in New York's history. Gunfights, car chases, and gruesome assassinations became daily headlines. But all wars must end. On a fateful day in 1931, in a quaint Italian restaurant on Coney Island, Joe the Boss's fate was sealed. Betrayed by his own, including the ambitious Charles Lucky Luciano, he was brutally gunned down, ending his reign of terror. Yet, in mafia tradition, one boss's end only makes way for another's rise, setting the stage for a new era of organized crime. The Collyer brothers, kings of hoarding. In the heart of Harlem in 1947, a seemingly nondescript brownstone held secrets that would stun the nation. This was a fortress of the Collyer brothers, Homer and Langley, masters of hoarding and architects of their own demise. Their home wasn't just cluttered. It was a maze of obsession crafted with intricate booby traps guarding treasures and trash alike. A tip from an anonymous caller over a rancid smell coming from their home led police to investigate. After hours of making their way into the Collyer residence, they discovered Homer, lifeless from starvation, and Langley trapped eternally beneath a mountain of their accumulated artifacts. The sheer scale of their collection was mind-boggling. 14 grand pianos juxtaposed against mountains of outdated newspapers, a rusting Model T Ford, and endless piles of loot from a bygone era. The Collyer brothers, in their quest for possession and privacy, penned a cautionary tale on the perils of extreme isolation and unchecked obsession. Thank you for venturing into the dark recesses of New York City's past with Weird Rewind. Hit that like button, share, and subscribe for more historical deep dives. See you in the next rewind.